Hello, friends. I'm Carrie Hunt, Chief Advocacy Officer with the America's Credit Unions, and welcome to the Sidebar. It's only been a few weeks since the election, but to me, it feels like a few months. President-elect Donald Trump and his transition team have been furiously interviewing to fill out his cabinet. And already we have quite the cast of characters. It's like a movie sequel where you're waiting to see which actors get a part in the new flick. A few of these are controversial, and who knows if they will get confirmed, and others are much more mainstream. For credit unions, the biggest impact will be who runs the CFPB and some of the undersecretaries at Treasury. I've received a few questions from many of you in the past few weeks about what the future will look like, so I thought I'd take a few minutes and answer some of those. Question 1. If Trump delivers on his economic campaign promises, this will raise the deficit by an estimated $4 trillion. He's going to be looking for money wherever he can find it. Will credit unions maintain the tax-exempt status? That is a fantastic question and one certainly top of mind to us. For America's credit unions, protecting the credit union tax exemption is always job number one. And this year in particular, we have to stay extremely focused on this priority. There's a very real risk that bankers will use the ballooning budget deficits as a reason to justify to policymakers as to why credit unions need to be taxed. And of course, because of the expiring tax cuts that came about during the first Trump administration, Congress is absolutely going to be looking at tax this year. Congress has a multi-trillion-dollar budget deficit to close and will look for every dollar possible to do that. In order to protect our exemption, we all will have to work together. Credit unions will need to mobilize, and we will have to fight hard to make sure policymakers understand that the tax exemption is key to the credit union industry's survival. This fight has already started. We saw a few preliminary hearings this year, and we can't stop until the final tax bill is signed into law. Question number 2, what will happen with the CFPB? This is another fantastic question. First, certainly Director Rohit Chopra is going to be removed by the president. You may recall that during the first Trump administration, it was unclear whether any sitting president could remove the director of the CFPB, and the courts clarified this issue. From a practical standpoint, an acting director will need to be named prior to a permanent director being confirmed. Due to some technicalities, that individual either needs to be Rohit Chopra's number 1, his direct report, or it will be someone who has already been confirmed by Congress in another role. Given party lines, we will likely see that second scenario. Regarding what the CFPB is going to do, I did want to note that we don't necessarily expect a complete undoing of all of the regulations that the CFPB worked on during the Biden administration, but we certainly will see a pause on some of the more controversial ones. You may recall that we had a proposal on overdraft and also a final rule on credit card late fees. It is important for us to voice our biggest concerns to the CFPB, both now and in the future under new leadership. All right, last question I will talk about today. What are the odds that we'll move to a single regulator, meaning combining the FDIC and the NCUA? This question comes up every few years and always seems to when we have a new administration. With the continuing consolidation for both banks and credit unions, I do think the risk is higher now than it was in the past, but we don't necessarily see this happening anytime soon. We are going to see other changes in other regulatory agencies. This is clearly something that the Trump administration has announced that is going to do. And I will note that while credit unions have long supported an independent regulator, in recent years, the NCUA seems to be acting a lot more on party lines than necessarily as an independent body. Those were only 3 of the questions that I've received in the past couple of weeks. There are many, many more. Some of those you may have heard me talk about on our town halls, and others we will make sure we answer in our Capital Connection. Thank you all for joining me this month, and I hope you enjoy a great holiday season. The Sidebar will resume in 2025.